Hello everyone, I am Brady Bridges and I'm the broker and owner of Reside Real Estate here in Fort Worth, Texas. I want to welcome you to another episode of Real Talk with Reside Real Estate. We are a top producing team here in Fort Worth, Texas, and we want this podcast to be a resource for anyone looking to learn more about real estate and the great city of Fort Worth, Texas.
Thank you. This is another episode of Real Talk with Reside Real Estate. Today I've got Randy Glenn, the owner of Extreme Exteriors, here with me today. Randy is a personal friend. He has helped me on a number of projects as well as my family. He does all types of landscaping, pool design, pretty much whatever's outside he can do it. But I'm going to let him jump in. Randy, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me today, Brady.
So kind of go in and tell people a little bit more about what you guys do and what Extreme Exteriors does.
Yes, absolutely. Be more glad to. So lots of businesses know what they do. Our what is pools, landscape, outdoor living, but they don't know their why. Our why is we create a space for families to tell their story. So when we build a outdoor kitchen, a swimming pool, an outdoor living area, or a beautiful landscape, they're going to tell their story in that space. They're going to have birthdays, graduations, weddings, all kinds of church events. And we are a small part of their story by creating that space. It's very, very important to us that we do that.
Yeah, that's great. I think sometimes it gets really lost in business that it's not just about just making money, right? I think one of the things my team this year we've made our kind of mantra is the word impact. So like impacting people through real estate. So sounds very similar.
Yes, no, absolutely. I wrote that down, a couple of notes on just some quick notes here. I wrote the word impact. It's right there. So impact. So every day we're going to wake up to be a little bit better than we were yesterday, and we want to impact our team. So nobody wants a boss. Everybody wants a leader. Mm-hmm. Direct team members and clients. Everybody wants a leader. Nobody wants a boss. And bosses impact positively. They make you feel better about yourself, and they make you want to be a better person.
Absolutely. So kind of tell people about Extreme. I know just from being your friend and working with you, y'all are kind of spanned out across Texas, but y'all have a really good presence here in North Texas as well. So kind of tell us the background of the business and how you kind of grew into these specific areas that you're working in now.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for asking. So the business started in 1992, going back to 1992. I was 12 years old. My Little League team was going to Wittenwald. And one of the mothers that was taking everybody was congregating at her house after a ball game and said, I'm going to take everybody to Wittenwald tomorrow. It's $25. Well, I didn't have $25. I looked across the street and the yard needed mowed across the street. So I walked across the street, rang the doorbell, and asked the lady, your yard needs mowed. I need $25 to go to Wettenwald. Can I mow your yard? And she said yes. And putting it on a bumper sticker, we still mow that yard today. That same yard.
Really?
They've been a client since 1992. So that's how it got into the business. Then through high school, back then they were employees, had some employees that worked for me because I was a boss. I didn't know anything about leadership at that point in time. I was very difficult to work for because you've heard the saying, if you're good with a hammer, everything's a nail. And I was good with a hammer. So through high school, had employees and mowed yards in college, stayed in Abilene, Texas, where I was born and raised, mowed yards to college, started putting in sprinkler systems. Then whenever I graduated from college, right after graduating from college, had somebody want to build a swimming pool, and I said, yes, I can build your swimming pool.
Where'd you go to school?
High school, Wiley in Abilene, Texas, Abilene, Wiley, and then went to McMurray University, a small college there in Abilene.
Okay.
Yes. So then after college, the big joke with my parents was, what are you going to do after you graduate college? And I said, I'm going to keep mowing yards till a real job comes along. And I graduated college during a time that was no doubt a recession, a big-time recession, and nobody was hiring out in West Texas. Oil at that time was $15, $16 a barrel. And so I kept mowing yards, and a real job never came along.
So that's all you've done since, is that you've always kind of worked for yourself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's great. That's kind of the American dream, right?
Yes, sir. And then, along the way, as you're going, and no longer had any school in the way, we're building swimming pools, and was very, very, very fortunate. I had a client that we did a project with that introduced me into leadership. And that's where my leadership journey started. And I've become passionate about that. And I'm not who I'm going to be, not who I want to be, but thank God I'm not who I used to be.
Sure. Yeah. So how did the business kind of progress? What was the learning curve from you going from, just kind of a landscape or, a lawn and care company to actually building pools, and now I can't wait to post some of the pictures of some of the projects you've done. But like, how did that progress, and what was the learning curve to get from where you were to doing these amazing jobs you guys do now?
Great. Well, thank you for asking.
And I know you're a leader, so I'm sure a big part of that is bringing strong people around you. But I'm just curious to see how you put it.
Well, so the unsexy part's a lot of black eyes and bloody noses. We've had plenty over the years. But to answer your question, it grew because, and I tell our team this all the time, if you want more in life, whether it's money, friends, whatever it is you want, you got to bring more value. So we cannot stop bringing more value. How do you bring more value? When you have a client that asks, can you build a swimming pool? Well, at one point we said yes. Then we had a client along the way that goes, can you build an infinity edge swimming pool? Yes, we can do that. Can you build a pool hanging off the side of this cliff? Yes, we can. So we've learned over the years in a great team. We have a great team, and it didn't happen overnight. People make a mistake. They think, oh my gosh, look at that business. It's an overnight success. There's no such thing. People don't see the previous 15 years of what I call black eyes and bloody noses, and we still get black eyes and bloody noses today.
Yep.
We're far from perfect. Far from perfect. But we woke up today to be a little bit better than we were yesterday. So organic growth is the answer to that. And we want to keep up with what our clients, what the trends are and what people want in their life. And outdoor living has become huge into real estate. It is your biggest room of your house, typically. That's not always the case, but most times it's the biggest room in your home.
Yeah, the outside?
Absolutely.
No, I think, you and you've talked a lot, and especially, through COVID. When COVID hit, I was doing a project with you guys right when that all started. And I'm sure, just like a ton of other people in this, everybody was moving, everybody was trying to improve their homes. So did you see that impact through COVID of people trying to just upgrade their outdoors?
Absolutely. So people, obviously, not by choice, but we're not going on vacations. And as we know, they invested in their homes. They upgraded their homes, and they invested in their homes. And everybody wanted to be outside. When we were locked inside, everybody's goal was to get outside. So it was a wonderful, and I'd never seen anything like it. And Darren, in our industry, I've never lived through a time like that. Everybody had an outdoor project going, and it was unsustainable to continue as far as the market goes. But it showed us how our why, what we do matters. We do work that matters. And we were able to impact a lot of clients' lives positively, and team members able to grow during that time because everybody wanted a pool. Everybody wanted an outdoor kitchen. Everybody wanted their landscape to look nice. It feels good to pull up to your house and your landscape looks beautiful.
Yeah, it gives you like
makes you smile.
Yeah, it gives you like a peace when you just some organization, because your day could be terrible, but that piece looks really nice, right?
So I've got a story to go with that. There's a doctor in Abilene, Texas, an orthopedic surgeon, and the year was 2000 when this happened, so 23 years ago. And 2000, I was still running a lawnmower, and I was on lawnmower, and this doctor pulls up on a Friday afternoon, and he gets out of his car and walks over and says, Randy, he said, I just want to let you know you guys do work that matters. I said, I don't understand what you mean. He said, well, today I did 3 knee surgeries, and those folks can walk. They're going to be able to walk again because those knee surgeries I performed. He goes, I do work that matters. They get to walk. He said, I just got done working a 60-hour week, and I pulled up to my house on Friday afternoon, and the yard looks incredible. He goes, that makes me happy. You do work that matters. And that changed my mindset right then. We do work that matters as far as mowing a yard to building a swimming pool.
Well, I think that's a way to, for one, to find satisfaction in the roles you have, right? If you just think you're going out to mow a yard, it's not near as fun to get up and go and mow a yard or just building a pool to build a pool. Like, it's important to somebody, and that makes it important to you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So kind of let's go into kind of the basics of whenever you do these projects, what are the kind of the things when somebody comes to you, what is the process if they say, hey, we're thinking about building a pool or we want to do this project of our home? Where does that start, and kind of how does that progress to actually starting that type of job?
Yes, sir. Thanks. Great question. So we start with a consult. So if you call into one of our 3 offices, we come out, we do a consultation with you at your home, at your convenience, what works with your life. We have a process that's absolutely wonderful that we walk through. And our job there is to guide. We guide, okay? We do not tell. We let the client guide. We never push. We guide. So we show up with this thing that we've created called a wish list, and it's got all the different services we do. And it's amazing to me when somebody calls and they want a back porch extension, let's say in Walsh Ranch. Mm-hmm. But what they really want is a swimming pool and an outdoor kitchen with a back porch extension. And then as we go through, it's a fun process. It is very fun. Buying is fun when the sale is pure. And whenever the salesman that you have or the designer you have is pure, it's fun. That is fun. And I tell our team all the time, these people have called and invited us to their home. We're not doing door to door, knocking on doors. We have been invited to their home, and we are taking their time, which is the most valuable asset they have. So we show up, we have this process, we go through, we're done. We have a great idea of what your dreams, we call it the wish list, what your wishes are. And from there, we create a beautiful 2D and 3D plan where you do a virtual fly through where you can see your house. And I promise you this, it's going to give you clarity. And with clarity, you can make a confident decision. Mm-hmm. So from that, we do the consult, the plan. Then we do a presentation in our office. You come to our office, we sit down, we review your plan with you, take you through the 3D presentation, and then we have everything priced to show you where every investment dollar goes at every aspect of the job, where you're very, very clear on where every investment dollar goes in your project.
Okay, that's great. It kind of reminds me, just when we went through it, it's almost like when you're doing some of these builds, it's like a design center almost kind of experience. Like, okay, this is what it can be. We can take this out. And I remember one of the things I really enjoyed about working with you guys is when you came out, you told me, say, hey, tell me everything you like. Tell me everything you might want in the future. We can go ahead and design the entire plan, even if it's not something, you leave the opportunity for people to have their entire dream built out, even though it may be a phase type project. That's one of the things I really liked about working with you guys. I didn't feel the pressure that we had to do everything at once, right? Which I don't feel like that's probably the case for everybody.
No, yes, sir, Brady. Thanks for mentioning that. So on our master plans, and a lot of people have a 7, 8, 10-year plan. So the beautiful thing about doing a master plan with extreme exteriors is you're never working backwards. So you can phase things out over 5 phases. And phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And we like to design that and piece it. I had a conference call with a gentleman this morning that we're about to do a major project with, and we're doing 2 phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Because that is what's in best interest for his family to do. And we're here to serve. We want to do, I tell our clients this all the time. I let them know when the timing is right for you, we're going to be here to perform on your project. So we phase a lot of our projects.
Yeah. And you do a lot of big projects. And you did both, because I was in North Richland Hills the other day, and I saw one of your signs along the golf course there.
Yes, sir.
And it looked like it was just maybe a pole installed.
Yes, sir.
So whenever you're going to someone's house, and I think a lot of people get really scared about when there's kind of this in real estate, people think, I'm going to go install a pool. If I have to move, I'm going to lose value on that. What are some of when you're going to these projects, how important is doing these type of projects to the resale value of your home?
Yes, sir. Great question. Well, so you are a very successful, hardworking realtor. So I'm not a real estate expert, but I can speak from our end on what it does. I do know this, that when you have a beautiful pool or a beautiful landscape, people are drawn to that house. They want that. As soon as they walk in the house, they can see their kids swimming in that pool. They can see the Little League team over cooking around the outdoor kitchen. When it's a beautiful landscape yard, they can just see themselves pulling up in the driveway and being happy. So when the landscape is done, when the pool is done, when those things are done on a home, when somebody's looking to buy, I would think, I'm not a real estate expert, but I would think in most times they're going to buy the house in the neighborhood that's got those things versus the one 7 houses down that does not have those features. And I would think it would sell much, much faster. And most certainly in the Fort Worth area, I can't speak to on the real estate trends as much as you could. You go to West Texas, and I will speak very, very knowledgeable in West Texas. You go to Midland, Odessa, you got to have it to sell a nice house out there. Yeah. It's almost a must, or that house is going to sit on the market because they're going to pay several $100,000 more for the one down the road that has those features.
Well, one of the things that I find really interesting is, like where I live in Overton Park, a lot of those homes have big lots, and what you're seeing is there's a ton of young families that have moved into that area, and everyone's doing those type of projects now, right? So it's kind of like what you just said. As more and more of those type of projects happen, it's almost, you have to it's expected to have that type of thing at your house, whether it's a pool or an outdoor kitchen, or, I mean, I'm seeing people constantly having installs done right now.
Yes, and we've done several, and I've been careful on this not to put names with clients, but we have done several clients in Fort Worth where we will go in and landscape the front of the house, just a nice landscape, so they can sell it, and they make money on that investment, like remodeling a bathroom. Now, I'm not going to say building a swimming pool that you're going to get all your money back on a swimming pool.
Yeah, especially at a short time period, right?
It's 7 years. I tell clients, if you're wanting to get all your money back on your swimming pool, you're going to have to stay in your house for 7 years. Because in 7 years, the house is the appreciation on the home, you're going to get all your money back in 7 years. And in those 7 years, you just had 7 birthdays with your son and daughter, Little League parties, maybe a graduation thing. You used it. You got to use that pool for 7 years. And in 7 years, if you sell your house, you're going to get your money back out of it. Landscapes are not that case. Landscapes sell homes.
Well, I feel like a great example is what you did over here on Shirley for my family, right? That one of my dad's house. Doing that retaining wall looked really nice, and it just gave it a whole new aesthetic look.
Yes, sir. And I believe they sold it very shortly after that.
Yes, it was right after they got finished with it. So we talk about these big projects. If you're just, let's just say, I know you do a lot of projects on Aledo, you do some around here, but if you're not looking for one of these grand projects, but maybe you're looking for a pool install, what are the limitations, or what should people know about if they just live in a smaller residential lot, or, in a new construction community where the lots aren't that big? What are the things that they need to be thinking about if they want to undergo one of these projects?
Great question. So we do a lot of work in the Walsh Ranch area. As you know, that area's growing like crazy. So in Walsh Ranch, they all have postage stamp back porches. They just do, because the square footage of the lot, and they maxed out the heated and cooled areas in the house. So they have this little bitty back porch. So we do a ton of patio extensions with a pergola and small outdoor kitchen. And those projects range anywhere from $10,000 to $45,000, and it changes their life because now they're outside using that backyard, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. So you don't have to have a big lot to do a project. It doesn't have to be a big project. Oh, the ones that you see on the social media feeds are all the really neat, huge, fancy projects. The bulk of our projects are $45,000 and under, porch extensions, things like that, and landscapes.
And y'all do fences, y'all do everything, anything to do with outside.
From the foundation out. We don't go in the house, but from the foundation out.
So what are your favorite types of projects to work on?
The next one. Now, to answer your question, I love any project that is going to be meaningful to the family. It does not matter of everything that we do. I love it when a family wants their project, whether it's just an outdoor kitchen or artificial turf for them to play soccer on. When a family's using it and it brings our why to life, we create spaces for families to tell their stories. That's the projects I like, and that's the projects our team like. We love it when a client uses the space we create.
Yeah, and one of the things I feel like a lot of people, they say, oh, well, we'll do this in a couple of years. We'll do this in a couple of years. But, whenever I reached out to you, is we just moved into that house, like, I don't know if you agree, but people that are thinking about doing these projects have the ability to do them, like, do them now. Do them now, because you'll end up living in that house and something will happen and you'll move and you're all the things you had hoped you had done, you never get done.
Yes, sir. That's exactly right. I don't know who said this phrase, but it's so true. The best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago. The next best time is today. And it's with all outdoor living projects, it's that way. You'll see people that go, oh, no, we're going to wait a year. We're going to wait a year. We're going to wait a year. And
that really bit you if you waited past 3 years, because the price has just gone up substantially.
Brady, that's where I was going with that, is I've been doing this since I've been out of college for 25 years. 25 years of this. Prices have never gone down. So waiting a year, now, the timing has to be right for the client financially.
Sure, yeah.
It's got to be a smart investment on the client's part, but you're not going to get those years back with your kids. Eventually, those kids are going to be grown, and they're not going to be interested in playing on that swing set in that backyard anymore. So if the financial, going back to the 7 years, if you're going to be in your house over 7 years, do it now. Then you can use it. You can get those years of great memories with your family.
Yeah, I see people wait on this stuff, like, and it drags out, then they regret it. And obviously you don't want to like go spend crazy money on something you can't afford, but the people that I'm talking about are people that have the means, and it's just like I don't think people realize how easy people like you and your company make the process. I mean, through good project managers, your team, like especially the Alito people I've dealt with out there, you've got a really good team around you that makes it really, really smooth going forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, it's a fun experience because what we're doing, you do not have to have. That's what we're touching on. It is a luxury that you don't have to have. So we want it to be a great experience from the initial consultation through the entire project till you get to turned over to you and your family to start creating memories with.
And I feel like part of that too, the hesitation on people is if they've just built or done a project, like everybody always complains about general contractors most of the time, or like builders, and then they're like, oh gosh, another project. So I think this kind of leads me to the next question. When someone is selecting a company, whether it's yours or someone else's, what are kind of the top 3 things you would say are most important when they're interviewing companies to do these type of projects?
Yeah, that's a great question. We want to feel comfortable with the person. And I call it the 3 U's. Know you, like you, trust you. Mm-hmm. So if you have the 3 U's with whether it's extreme exteriors or there's a lot of reputable people in our industry. There are. And just like every industry, there's a lot that are not. So when you have the 3 U's, when you know them, you like them, and you trust them. But besides that, a lot of that's gut and that's instincts and that's just discernment. The professionalism. Did they give you a to-scale plan? That's a big one. Did they give you a to-scale plan? Did they actually have architects on staff? Do they have draftsmen on staff? Do they have estimators on staff? Or was the plan drawn on a cocktail napkin or on a yellow tablet? Those projects, not saying they're going to go bad, but they have a tendency, there's not a good plan. It all starts with a good plan. A good plan gives you clarity. With clarity and be confident that we're getting, both parties have clarity and the project goes smooth. Any of the projects that go wonderful that I see with Extreme Exteriors or other wonderful companies out there that do what we do, they have good plans. To scale, good plans. And then secondly, they have an office. I call it brick and mortar. They don't work out of their truck. They actually have an office. You can go to their office and sit down with them and look at the white in their eyes.
Yeah, that's pretty good advice. I have some clients that they ended up building a pool with some company that they came knocking door to door, and it became a situation where that person was not paying their subs, and it just became a nightmare scenario. So, yeah, I think it's very important to work with someone, I think reputation is huge. And sometimes I think people try to go cheapest route with this type of thing, and that's not really the best route to go when you're spending a significant amount of money on something like a pool.
Yes, sir.
Because I've seen some bad pool jobs too, and that's really hard to correct.
Yes, sir. It's a big investment in your home, so you want to feel comfortable. You want to feel comfortable with your selection. If there's hesitation and you don't feel comfortable, there's other choices out there.
Sure. So, obviously, just like homes, there's trends that change over time with what people are picking. Kind of what are you seeing right now, whether it's pools or patios or furniture? What are the trends you're kind of shifting right now within your world?
Brady, thanks for asking that question. So there's a big shift, and it is pots. And I'm not talking like the pots that your grandmother had. Pots are the new thing. People want these extravagant, incredible pots with landscapes in them. It gives you height elevation. So with the drought that we are always coming in and out of, we know that in Texas, we're always in and out of a drought. Potscapes are becoming huge right now. That's like the cutting trend thing. Almost every consultation we're going on when people show their Pinterest pictures or their house pictures or the pictures.
So it's like pots. Huge,
massive pots. Big, massive pots in the landscape areas. That is a trend I'm seeing going. Another thing is small pools. We call them spools. The big pools, there's still big pools being built, but small pools. They look more like beautiful waterscapes you can get in. So small pools, they're more cost effective to build. Pots, big, beautiful pots, gorgeous pots throughout the landscape. That's where I'm seeing the trends going right now.
So how do you keep up with it? I mean, I know you guys are so busy, so how do you keep up to date on like everything that's coming out? I'm sure there's probably team members that do this with, sell furniture. Like, how do you keep up to date on everything that's happening? Are you a part of some associations or?
It's another great question. We have a lot of dedicated team members, and my wife does an excellent job of that. My wife is always looking at what the next trendy thing is that's coming. She does a good job of bringing it to our team and going, see these pots? And I'll look at it and go, yes. She goes, this is what everybody's about to want. And she's usually correct. She stays on top of what the newest, latest thing is that is not even hit the market yet. And then we go with our team and how do we incorporate that into our designs?
So I guess you're a distributor, I'm guessing, of a lot of this type of stuff. So do you go to them and say, hey, this is what we think is going to happen. We want you to make this, or is it something that they're already doing? Or
you're exactly right. So with the commodity,
I'm sure it's regional, right? Like the trends are regional to the different areas.
Absolutely. So much of our stuff is custom made that we build with our team members. But as far as like custom pots, yes, absolutely. We have about 3 people that we can call and they build them for us, and we'll give the designs and they will custom make them for us. Patio furniture is just like, that's more of a commodity. Now there's nice patio furniture, but it's just the suppliers keeping up with them on what their latest, greatest stuff that comes out is. But past the patio furniture, it's all custom done.
Yeah, I don't know how you'll keep up with all of it.
It's fun. It's a challenge, but it's fun.
Well, I think, and your background, I know we've talked to you, your background is in accounting, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct. So what my degree's in. Yes, sir.
So it's interesting to me because typically when people think of accountants, it's not in the role that you're in right now.
I would be a terrible accountant.
Now you probably would be, because you're a big picture. You're growing and envisioning the next thing and how to grow your team. So you said you have 3 locations?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
So where are they at?
So we're Midland, Odessa, which is one location. We service Midland, Odessa, the Permian Basin, and then we're Abilene, Texas, which services the Big Country, which is about a 90-mile radius around Abilene. And then we are West Fort Worth, Aledo. We're right on the Fort Worth, Aledo. We're actually in the city of Aledo, but we're on the Fort Worth line, right across from Walsh Ranch.
So kind of expanse-wise on your projects, how far out are y'all willing to go to do jobs?
Yes, sir. So from each one of our locations, a 90-mile radius. 90-mile radius, we've got to set our team up to succeed, and we have found we can be successful within a 90-mile radius of each one of those locations there and give the client a great product and a great service.
Yeah, because I guess if you get too far out, crews are harder to get there. They don't get there on time. It just causes all kinds of issues, I'm sure.
You just nailed it. That is exactly right.
Do you have your own crews for each type of, or do you have specific subs you work with, or are they your crews that work on these projects?
Yes, sir. So the further you go west, it is all in-house. So Fort Worth, we have some very talented subcontractors that we can work with in the Fort Worth location because there's lots of talent here. Mm-hmm. You go west Abilene, we do it all almost in-house. You go to our Midland location, it is all in-house because there is no subs out there, so you've got to do it with just your guys. So the further you go west to our locations, you hit Midland, we do everything in-house. It comes all in-house. Fort Worth, we have the ability. We have some wonderful, so we call them sub-partners that we've worked with for many years that we do some subcontracting with. But
okay.
The project managers, project coordinator, design team, landscape, irrigation, pavers, decking, all that stuff we do with our guys in-house, even in Fort Worth.
I'm sure there's a lot of training involved in.
There's years and years. We've always got team members in training, and it's wonderful because they got an opportunity because there's always somebody being promoted to a project manager or project coordinator, which typically comes from the crew leader position, and then a crew team member can become a crew leader, and then they can become a junior project manager. So we're constantly giving, people, team members will stay with you if you show them the bigger future. The reason why they leave, the reason why anybody leaves a company is because they quit seeing a bigger future.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what do you see? One of the things I ask people in real estate, obviously there's a lot of things happening with inflation and political things. So what is kind of your outlook within your industry for, this coming year and then going into next year with everything that's happening?
So, Brady, my crystal ball is as muddy as yours on that. And interest rates are up. There is no question. And it does affect not so much the landscape side of things, but the pool side of things. Because you get into some high dollar pools and financing interest rate is up on it. So I have been talking about you can date the interest rate, you can marry the project. So the interest rate, you can refinance that sucker in 16 months from now.
Yeah.
right? I don't know where they're going to be in 16 months from now, but everything I read says they're going to go down third quarter of this year. The interest rates are going to start going down. So you said earlier, why would you put off your project? Well, you can hear people right now, I got to wait for interest to go down.
Well, I hear that every day in the housing side of things, right?
Every single, but the cost of pools, even with the interest rate up right now, it is the same cost to build a pool, even if you finance it, as it was 16 months ago, because 16 months ago, we all suffered from record inflation that was out of control.
Oh, the price difference.
The price difference. Prices of pools have come down, dramatically come down, because of material. Material costs went through the roof, and labor, quite frankly, because it went through the roof during COVID, because nobody wanted to work, and materials became scarce. Every industry had that supply chain disruption that happened. So you even take the interest rates higher right now and back out the cost that's come down, and you can build a pool for the same price now. People don't, because it's not their job, they don't see that.
Yeah, it's kind of similar. What we tell people is the people that missed the boat on, the people that didn't get to buy during that huge 2-year run where people were paying $40,000 and $50,000 over. Well, now they don't have to do that.
That's exactly right.
So it's the same thing. Same exact premise. Like, okay, yes, interest rates are higher, but you're not having to bid up, come out of pocket this extra money. And that's a question I didn't actually have down. But so I think people, when they have these projects like what you're talking about, whether landscape design, they think they have to have all the cash right away, right? So you have financing partners or financing options for people?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay.
Absolutely. We have 5 different financing options that are great depending on what works best for you and your family.
Yeah, which I think, that's good, because some of those projects I've seen could probably get up there.
Yes, sir.
So what is the coolest project you've worked on, or maybe the most memorable one, whether it was a nightmare job or probably one of the coolest jobs you designed, or kind of tell us about one of those jobs. What sticks with you over all these years?
We have been very fortunate that we've done several really big, fun projects, and they don't come along every day. Those projects, they're
the fun ones to show up.
They're the fun ones to show up. And typically we get 1 to 2 a year of those, and they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun to do. So a particular one that, if I was just going to pick one out, is in South Taylor County, which is south of Abilene, out in the hills, where kind of the hill country starts in West Texas out there. And it hangs off the side of a West Texas mountain out there. And it's got a slide like a slide at Wet n Wild has on it. It's got 2 big twists in it. It's extremely tall slide. It's got everything you can think of. It's got swim ball. It's got deck jets. It's got splash pads. This pool has a little bit of everything. This client was like a big kid's heart, and wanted to do everything for their kids. And they built it for their children and their children's sports teams and church groups that come over. And it was just a fun project. It has there's nothing that we do that is not on that particular swimming pool. So it was a lot of fun. And it was a challenge. We were there for 2.5 years. And it was not your normal project. It was a 2.5-year project that we thought was going to take 3 years, and got it done in 2.5. Just some things fell into place, and we were able to do it in that time frame. It was a very, very fun project that was a blast to do, and it is wonderful watching them use it now.
So that's really cool. I wonder how much stuff changes over that time period, right? Like, were you getting almost done? They're like, well, actually, we want to change it to this now.
Yes, sir.
It's like a custom home build.
That's right.
I mean, I'm sure that project probably costs as much as most custom home builds.
Yes, sir.
So kind of last tips that you would give. What are some of the mistakes, or what are some tips you'd give to anybody listening to this that was thinking about either going in and doing, hardscape, or what would you tell somebody as your best tips going forward with the project?
Yes, great. It would be, one, make sure you have a to scale plan, whoever's building it. That is so important. People get in a hurry. They think, when can you start? When can you start? When can you start?
That was me.
When can you start? A great plan. I see in our industry so many people start without a great plan. It's got to be a great plan. Great plan equals a successful, wonderful job that everybody loves. So that cannot over express that tip. A great plan. Whomever's doing your project, if you're doing it yourself, have a plan. You've got to have a plan. I've never seen a house built without a set of blueprints properly. People undervalue the talent that it takes to lay pavers to put in
Oh, after
sprinkler
seeing
system.
them do that, it was unbelievable.
So a great plan, a great plan. And then after that, really sit down and fill out your own wish list. What do you really want? I will see people that will embark on a project and they just start working and they really don't have a picture with the end in mind. I always like to start with a picture at the end of mind. What do we really want? With the why are we doing this? Again, our why is to create a space for people to tell their story. Well, what is your why? We want a spot where we can cook outside and sit around a fire pit. Okay, wonderful. That's at the top of our list. So we've got to strategically place those on the plan, and then we build segues to those areas with landscaping and hardscaping. So a true plan, it's a scale plan. It's so important, and it starts with a wish list. What do you really want? And if you have somebody to your house, a designer, salesman, we guide, we don't push. That is very important at Extreme Exteriors for us. We are there to get. Now, we are going to help guide you if you're going down a direction where we can bring 25 years of experience going, we'll build whatever you want. But Mr. Bridges, you may consider doing this here because of past experience. It works better sitting over here. So having somebody that can guide you, but you want it to be your project, not the company that built its project. You want it to be for you and your family.
It's interesting just talking to you, the similarities I feel like when we're talking to a home buyer. I mean, it's these consults are so important. I think that's a great tip because we say the same thing about home buyers. The best thing you can do is come sit down with us and let's get on the same page about what's most important so that we know where we're going. And it's exactly what you said, multiple times today, just going through it. So is there anything else you'd like to share?
I want to give you something. So this coin I'm going to give you, all our team members carrying it. You can see that's our company logo. That's the double E, Extreme Exteriors. And it says Go Big there.
Okay.
And Big, B-I-G, on the back it says Beginning Gratitude. BIG stands for Beginning Gratitude. So it's a little tool that we use, our team members carry. I just had lunch with a great client of ours, and he had his Go Big coin in his pocket. Don't see him as often as I used to. And Sam, he pulled his Go Big coin out. So how does this work? Beginning Gratitude. Every morning when I woke up this morning, when I put this in my pocket, I went big. I said 3 things I was grateful for this morning. If I don't touch this coin all day, at the end of the day, I empty my pocket and I say 3 things I'm grateful for that happened to me that day. So at minimum, I've done 6 gratitudes that day. It will change your mindset and it will change your life. So here's your Go Big coin, Brady.
Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure.
So one of the things that I ask everybody, obviously you don't live in Fort Worth, but I know you guys are up here all the time.
Spend a lot of time here.
So a lot of the people that we work with, they're not from this area, right? So what would you say is your favorite thing or one of the great things about living in the Fort Worth area?
Well, I'd have to say first off, the people. The people, whenever you get from Fort Worth West, it's just good people. Good people. Fort Worth feels to me no different than Midland, Odessa, or Abilene, Texas, with an additional 500,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a West Texas town with an additional 500,000. What do you get with that? You get incredible restaurants. We just had lunch at an incredible restaurant that isn't offered in Abilene or Midland, Odessa.
There's a lot more here
So
for sure.
my wife would come over here every week just to eat. It's fantastic. And everybody is kind and nice and professional. So Fort Worth it's beautiful. There's big trees, depending on which side of Fort Worth you're on. You got rolling hills, you got water. It's just water. That's the Trinity. Good gosh. It's wonderful.
Yeah, being from West Texas, we can really appreciate water.
Yes.
Well, Randy, thank you very much again for coming in. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you or somebody in your team, what would be the best way for them to reach out to you guys?
So absolutely, extremeexteriors.us. Extremeexteriors.us will guide you to any of our 3 locations.
Okay.
And yeah, absolutely, we'd love to do a consult with any of your clients.
Awesome. Well, Randy, thank you again. Really appreciate it. This was another episode of Real Talk with Reside Real Estate. If we can be a resource in any way, please reach out. Thank you.